Logan Paul is crashing out on CoffeeZilla. Logan Paul is crashing out on CoffeeZilla, chat. We about to go ahead and get that shit popping and see the fuck why. Give me 1 second. Let me. Give me 1 second, chat. We finna go ahead and get shit popping, man. Alright, chat, let's get it. First reaction we got is motherfucking Logan Paul is crashing out on CoffeeZilla, chat, by Jamari, man. Let's get it, chat. Let's get it popping and see what the fuck this about, man. Let's lock in, man.
So last weekend, I actually took a trip to...
Oh. Fuck. Hold on, let's get it.
So last weekend, I actually took a trip to Vegas with my family. We actually went out there to celebrate my uncle's birthday because he had passed this age threshold where a lot of men in...
W uncle, chat. W motherfucking uncle, man.
My family have historically passed away, so shout out to my Uncle Noonie for breaking that curse. And so after the first day, basically everyone was losing their ass in that casino. It didn't matter if you were playing the slots, the tables. My parlay was busting on like the first team, pause. I mean, I think at that point I was already down like $800.
Damn!
And so then it was like, well, what else can me and my uncle do besides head to the sports book and get drunk off the drink tickets? And so we're chilling there. We've already ordered like 5 whiskey straights. It was his idea, okay? I was like, god damn. And I made the stupid decision to actually check my email on vacation. This is something that historically never works out well for me. It's almost like every time I decide to go away from my home, from these 4 sacred walls, YouTube just sends me a fucked up email. Not saying that I ever really want to get an email like that, but it's much easier to handle that type of thing if I am home. Now either way, this email is titled Privacy Complaint. I've gotten a couple of these before in the past, usually when I had made a video about someone who was not necessarily a public figure, and they essentially wanted it pulled from my channel for whatever reason. And so in these types of emails, they have a link to the video that the privacy complaint is about, and then they actually show you the actual timestamps where the privacy complaint apparently occurred. And so I click into the video and I see that it's actually my most recent upload at that time, my recent coverage of the ongoing Logan Paul versus CoffeeZilla saga. And so when I see that, I'm like, oh
shit.
Man, Logan's on some shit. And I check.
Did Logan try to get on this nigga ass by the enforcers? What?
The timestamps, and apparently Logan, or maybe his legal team, had some sort of issue with me including those leaked text messages in that video.
Note that privacy complaints can only be made by you if the content is specifically about you. There are only a few exceptions to this, like if the privacy violation involves someone you're legally authorized to represent.
And you guys have to keep in mind, those leaked messages were from publicly available court documents. Like, they are available for you to go check out on your computer or phone at this second. Now either way, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep having a good time. I'll worry about this shit later. Now when later did come around at like 2 or 3 in the morning, which is like 4 o'clock a.m. at Texas time, I was tired as shit. So I went on the little YouTube tool. I tried to blur out some of the text messages. I cut some of the other stuff out. And I figured, okay, hopefully that suffices. Like, I don't really want to worry about this shit. Well, then the next day, I actually received a follow-up email from YouTube that basically said, hey, the changes that you made, they were not sufficient enough. We're going to give you another chance to fix this, which I'm very thankful for, even though I don't really think I'm in the wrong. And so then I'm just like, screw it. I know how wonky YouTube can be with their policies. I just go to the chopping block and just start splicing that shit up. I mean, at this point, that video represents like a mutilated body. And so then I do enjoy the rest of my time in Vegas. But when I got back home a couple of days ago, I did get more curious about this privacy complaint. Because honestly, guys, I thought it was some bullshit. And upon further inspection and looking into other people who had made videos on this topic, it appears that this had been done in like a grand sweeping fashion. As I noticed, several other commentary channels like Some Ordinary Gamers, Kavos, they all had to edit their videos as well, meaning I likely thought they received the same privacy complaint. And like I said earlier, these type of complaints have to come either directly from the person or their legal team who feels their privacy is being violated. And it's funny because in the regulations for filing a privacy complaint, YouTube does take into consideration whether something is newsworthy, whether someone is a public figure, or whether the information you shared in your video was already available to the general public.
Note that when it comes to determining if content should be removed for a privacy violation, we
Bro,
also
this
look
nigga
at
got the
factors
rules
like
out.
public interest, newsworthiness, consent, and whether the information is otherwise publicly available, whether the content contains parody, satire, or other public interest value, and whether you're a public figure or well-known individual.
Which, if I'm doing the math in my head, well, I'm 3 for 3 on all those check marks. In that video, I did not divulge any of Logan's financial information, I did not dox him, and like I said, with him being a public figure, all that other shit really does not matter. I mean, honestly, I was pretty much just reading the court documents verbatim and then giving my opinion on what they were saying. And obviously, within those court documents, there was a whole lot of other stuff that had been redacted, so I would think, hey, like, if that stuff wasn't cool to go out to the public, it would have been redacted as well. And the whole time, I'm really just thinking, like, why? What's the fucking point? It's kind of the same way I felt about the lawsuit against CoffeeZilla. Like, you were just extending this whole situation, at least that's what I thought in my head. But now after reading these newly filed court documents that I'm about to show you guys, I do think we might finally have some clarity as to why Logan has been on this rampage, as it appears that Logan is really paranoid about something that either has come out or will come out in the future to the public during the discovery process. Alright guys, so we have 3 different court documents we will be looking at today. The first one is Logan's request to preserve confidentiality, where Logan is basically going to the judge and saying, hey, I don't want these pieces of evidence found during discovery to get out to the general public, likely because they do not paint him in a very good light. I feel like he saw those text messages and knew that Coffee has some other shit up his sleeve. Maybe that was redacted from the public version of that document that's even more damning than the text messages themselves. We also have CoffeeZilla's response to that motion to preserve confidentiality, where his legal team basically says that Logan is a huge hypocrite desperately trying to control the narrative. And then we also have a more overall response from Logan where he addresses the text messages, the narrative that he is trying to ruin Coffee's life with this lawsuit, and also saying that he does not want his case with Coffee transferred to this other class action lawsuit he is currently dealing with over CryptoZoo. So basically, when this all started, the 2 parties had apparently agreed to some sort of confidentiality agreement, as both had likely been requesting documents, text message exchanges, and other pieces of information.
Hold on real quick, chat. Let me get some water. Hold on. Alright, let's lock in.
During the ongoing discovery process. I think the overall message here is that Logan's team feels like Coffee's team overstepped their boundaries in that regard, and they really didn't like some of the things he was putting out to the public, hence the privacy complaint. So they want this document to remain under seal, and they anticipate that Coffee's team will want the opposite, and will say that the public has the right to this information, later adding that the things he included, some of which were likely redacted from the public, are not relevant in the situation, and that he only put the information out there to harm and embarrass Logan Paul. So it appears to me that Logan does not want another taste of that public perception. People are saying this is actually the perfect example of the Streisand effect, where an unintended consequence of attempts to hide, remove, or censor information actually increases the public awareness of said information. I mean, even this video...
That is crazy how nigga did end up doing something later on, like, that do make the situation more suspicious of what is he trying to, like, avoid exactly.
Video itself kind of puts that on display, as I likely would not be making it in the first place if Logan did not file what I see as a bullshit privacy complaint against myself and a couple of others. And so Coffee's team responds to this by basically saying that Logan is a hypocrite who is doing the same thing that he is complaining about, omitting information from the general public that makes him look like he was the mastermind behind the CryptoZoo situation, and that makes him look like he does indeed have bad intentions, adding that this information would contradict Logan's direct arguments, and that because he decided to take this to legal action, he has obviously opened himself up to discovery and all that it entails. And in the end, Logan's team did predict their move correctly. As Coffee's team says, because this other document was already filed, the public does have the right to see what's going on behind the curtain, and that they want everything from those documents that were redacted to now come out, and that it is now Logan's burden to prove why these things should remain sealed, saying that this information they want to put on display was never designated by Logan or his legal team as confidential, and that they really didn't give any reasoning as to why they should remain locked away in the first place. It basically seems to me like they're saying, hey Logan, you cannot have your cake and eat it too, so now let us show the world your douchebaggery by unsealing these documents. Now I will say in Logan's next response, things do get fucking crazy, and I feel like we kinda learn what this entire lawsuit might actually be about. They say that Coffee's attempt to consolidate his case with the class action lawsuit is nothing more than a weak attempt to reset his stance, and that CoffeeZilla himself spearheaded the inception of a government investigation into CryptoZoo, and that when this effort was met with the government not finding anything, he tried to expedite the trial. Like I told you guys last video, Coffee basically wanted to stop it right there and just have the jury decide this thing based on the information at hand, to which the judge said no, we're not gonna do that. They also stay with the overall narrative here that Logan was an unassuming party who fell victim to the two main people who profited off of CryptoZoo, Eddie Ibanez and Jake Greenbaum, and that Logan spent over a year trying to fix their mistakes. They also remind us here that despite not taking any profit from CryptoZoo, Logan did do this buyback program where he spent more than $1 million of his own money to refund buyers, something that they refer to as a success. And also noting that Coffee had even complimented Logan initially for this effort, and apparently even acknowledged that he was the victim in the situation. And here is where the wheels really start to fall off for me, and I feel like all hell is about to break loose. Because Logan's team says that months before the OG 3-part series had come out, CoffeeZilla took it upon himself to contact the US government, including the SEC, about CryptoZoo. They say that he prepared this PowerPoint presentation for them, calling it a whistleblower report, something he called an encapsulation of the entire CryptoZoo scheme, with the title of the presentation being Popular Influencer Logan Paul Defrauds Fans with Blockchain Play-to-Earn Game That Doesn't Work. And they say during this presentation that CoffeeZilla left out key information that made Logan look innocent, like an interview.
Hey, this for all the people that's trying to get that extra bread and be having these videos with the, yeah, scan this, play games, you can, bro. All that shit's fake, chat. That shit is not real, bro. You don't get no money. You don't get nothing referring people. You don't get shit out of shit. But bullshit with bullshit and more shit to do of top of shit. Just for more nothing. So I'm just saying, chat. This seemed like one of them bullshit advertisement shit you see. Oh, I want to do it because it's a person I like.
He had conducted with a man named Luciano Cipoletti, who was a lead developer in CryptoZoo, saying that just 3 days before contacting the government, CoffeeZilla said on this phone call that he might not have known was being recorded. There's this real sense that I get like, and tell me if you kind of agree, this sense of incompetency. Part of it, I think they, referring to Logan and his manager, in their heads want to have good intentions, but they take on so many projects and so many different ideas, and Logan's constantly saying so many different things that they literally can't do it all. Then they also include Luciano's response. We had always believed that they really did have good intentions, but we always used the word incompetence. Even up until right now, like I truly believe that Jeff really meant to do well with the project. Same with Logan. You could hear it in Logan's voice, in that I think it was the only AMA that he had, which is an Ask Me Anything session. Back in the first week of October 2021, you could hear in his voice that he really wants this project to be successful. All that stuff that a lot of people probably think was him trying to hype people up to do a cash grab, I never think that that's what it's about. I think that they just meant well but had the wrong team working for them at the beginning, and then I think they were just in a constant rat race of trying to band-aid everything up. So they're saying that not only did Coffey omit this information from his report to the government, but that he also did not mention Eddie Ibanez or Jake Greenbaum at all. They say that he knew these were the parties who profited in the millions of dollars from CryptoZoo, but that he chose to single out Logan despite the fact that he was well aware that Logan made no money from the venture, and that he did so because he knows his audience hates Logan Paul, and that it would obviously be a much bigger story if he painted Logan as the bad guy in the situation, because obviously no one gives a shit.
So that nigga Logan got thrown under the bus. So basically he's the good guy but got thrown under the bus. Crazy. I thought he was a scammer. But he got thrown under the bus. And he thought, you know, it was a positive like business for other people and other opportunity ventures.
About these two other people, it would not be newsworthy. And if this whole thing is true, it does really make me look at the entire situation differently. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still think that Logan is a tool, but it's like, why would you contact the government without bona fide evidence of fraud? And I also question why Coffey would not want these other bad actors in his report. Like, if the truth and ultimately holding people accountable is what he wants to achieve, wouldn't that be very important information for the government to have? Could it be that this was all in anticipation of some sort of future series against Logan? Because to me it's now definitely within the realm of possibility. Logan's team speculates that he did this because he wanted the credit for being the person to help build this case and for any criminal or civil penalties that Logan might have incurred from this investigation. And like I said, in the end, after this years-long investigation, the SEC really found no wrongdoing, and they apparently took no action against Logan Paul closing this book. That's when they're claiming that Coffey panicked and wanted this thing settled, to which the judge denied. He also addresses the text messages here, saying that they are not relevant because they occurred right after the initial series had come about, and that it predates the actual material they are suing him for defamation over, which is the two other videos and the tweet calling Logan a scammer, saying that the messages resemble someone who is angry about being defamed more than anything else, and that they really want to continue with the initial issue at hand. Did CoffeeZilla act with malice in reporting this situation? And let me just tell you guys, I think this thing is about to get so fucking crazy. We're obviously going to have to see what happens, but I will keep you guys updated. Y'all let me know down below what you guys think about this update. But I do want to thank you guys for watching today's video, dropping a like and subscribing. But as you guys know, it's been your boy the Tan Superman and some other court documents out here need to be covered. So I'm out. Peace!
Logan Paul said he wouldn't sue Coffey. Now we're later. In court, Logan should have took his L. Oh no. Okay. That shit wild, chat. Fucking scammers and all. Scammers and all. Alright.